Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have a lot more fun. I'm your host, Paul Sanneman, founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help contractors build great teams. Kris Abens from Urable, right? Got that one right?
You got it.
Okay. I'm glad I'm able to say you're able. Um, so, Kris, tell us about, how you got started and what Urable does and how it can help, people in landscaping and construction, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. First I'll start with just what is Urable. So Urable is really business management software for niche industries. So the main industries that we're in right now are around the automotive field, specifically around like high-end services that are performed on cars, like ceramic coatings or paint protection film. Flat glass, which is a very adjacent market to that one, and then lawn care and landscaping is a newer one that we have now entered into. What we've kind of found is with any of these service-based businesses, the structure of the jobs remains really similar. So as long as there is a customer, a thing that you're working on, and services that you're performing, and of course, scheduling and lots of things around that, then that can be applied to lots of different industries. So we've kind of taken that and ran into different verticals, and we'll expand as necessary. Coming back to how we started, we've actually been around for 7 years now. We just celebrated 7 years last month. We actually initially were going to be in the pharmaceutical industry. I know that sounds like completely different with where we've landed, but that was actually my background. I was in pharmaceutical sales, and my brother, who also started Urable along with me, my dad as well. We are a family-owned and operated business. But my brother and I actually collaborated on a project when I was working at the pharmaceutical company to just build like a sales management system for my team there. And we ended up enjoying that project a lot more than our actual jobs that we were being
So,
paid to do. And so we decided that we wanted to just break away, start our own company. And initially, we were going to go into pharmaceuticals. Our dad was retired at the time, but he had a long career in the pharmaceutical industry as well. He knows how to scale businesses, and so he was actually the one that pointed us towards initially the vehicle care industry because he's a big car enthusiast. And Kyle and I had, that's my brother. Kyle and I had a passion for just helping entrepreneurs. That's like the direction that the workforce is moving in. A lot of people, starting their own businesses, and we felt like that could be an industry in particular that we could really help out because there didn't seem to be anything that was specifically for them. You run into that with a lot of these like niche kind of industries where, you have these broad systems that are kind of just like blanketly meant for lots of different industries. And then you're just kind of trying to make it work, or you're duct taping lots of different systems together to get everything that you're looking for. And so our mission at Urable, rather than being, shallow functionality across many different industries, our goal is to be as perfect as possible in every industry that we go into. So just really deep functionality, very specific industries. And so, we started in automotive and
so
out.
Kris, how'd you make the transition from automotive into landscaping?
We actually had, believe it or not, a lot of people that had detailing businesses. That's like kind of the overall term for those types of businesses, and landscaping businesses. We didn't think that that would be like a big crossover, but we actually had a lot of businesses that were asking for specific functionality around that. We also have this sort of broad type of industry that we offer Urable through, just called Other. It's kind of a catch-all. We've had a lot of people that just have heard about Urable from, friends of theirs, maybe in a completely different industry, and they recommend it. And so we created sort of a broad version of Urable. It really generalizes the language in there, so it can apply to a lot of different things. And then we also tap into that to be able to see, okay, are there groups of people in a certain industry that are forming under Other, and then that would be an industry that we would then
Well,
pursue.
maybe this is an opportunity to get into the construction industry and think about it.
Yeah.
From cars to landscaping isn't a big, it's a bit of a shift. Landscaping to, we work with a lot of, remodeling contractors and we do recruiting for all the construction industry, but it seems to have the same kind of issues. So,
Mhm.
what problems does it solve for a landscaper that it might be able to solve for even like a remodeling company?
For sure. Yeah. So, like I was saying, with a lot of these niche industries, it's a lot of just like I use this system for accounting and this system for payroll and this system for my calendar, this system for invoicing. And you end up wasting a lot of time because you're doing the same action more than once in lots of different platforms. And so, what Urable really solves there is just bringing everything under one roof. So then you just have one spot where you can do everything you need. Anything that we don't directly handle, things like payment processing or accounting or with certain industries, service reporting, we then have specific integrations with platforms that do that. So that again, you only need to enter the information in once. We communicate with those platforms that would handle those kinds of things for you, and then you can manage everything that you
So,
need to.
so tell me on a day-to-day basis, how would a landscaping company use your able? What would they do with it? How would it work? Give me the, practical side.
Yeah, so the cool thing with the, lawn care landscaping side of things is a lot of these jobs are scheduled well in advance. Obviously, with like the lawn care side of things, those are maintenance services. So those are just repeat jobs. You build them out at the beginning of the season and they kind of carry you through the rest of the season. Landscaping projects, obviously those are going to be booked out pretty far in advance. You need to be able to, stock up on the resources that you need for that. And so you would have things scheduled out. A big aspect to your able is, of course, the calendar, making sure that everybody's on the same page. You can load all of your employees into Urable, so then they'll be able to see what's going on. You can assign jobs to different people or different resources. You can build out routes if you're going to be hitting multiple places in one day. And then, of course, there's the job functionality, managing each individual line item. You can even schedule out each portion of the project that you're going to be performing because, with those types of projects, it's not a single day thing like you would see
Right.
on more of the vehicle care side of things or the lawn maintenance side of things. These are going to be multi-day, maybe even multi-week projects. And so you want to be able to specifically schedule things out so then everybody knows, when they're supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, scheduling is a massive aspect. Within the job, though, there's all kinds of interesting features that you can dig into. We try to keep the platform really flexible and sort of like a choose your own adventure kind of thing. We provide lots of different functionality, but a lot of it is optional. It's really dependent on the business and what it is that they're looking for. But you could be getting into using inspection photos or inspection videos, especially with bigger projects as just a sales tool. It's nice to be able to show like, hey, here's what, things look like right now. Here's what it's going to look like if you have, 3D renderings of how things will look. Even giving up to date, updates of the project so then they can see, this is what we're working on today. Here's the progress that we've made, things like that. Approvals will be a big one. So there's often a problem in at least the industries that we're a part of, where there's not really an easy way to be communicating with the customer through the software system that you're using. You might be texting with them, or calling or emailing or things like that. Those are all kind of spread out mediums, and it's not consolidated into one place. So with a feature like approvals, that essentially allows you to send various things out to the customer, maybe updates on the job, like we were talking about with inspection photos or inspection videos. Maybe, based on how the project is going, prices need to be changed, or you need to add in some more, of a given material, and you need to see if they are cool with that kind of change to their job. Maybe
Mhm.
you need to update the schedule. And so really anything can be built into an approval. And that's just a medium to then send that out to the customer. So then they can review, what has been changed about this project, and ultimately, hopefully approve it, or deny it if that's not going to be something that they're comfortable with. But it's a nice way to be able to communicate with the customer all throughout the project. Transparency is a big thing for us, and we want that to be a big thing for anybody that's using our platform as well.
Okay. So give me an example of you're not going to name it by name, but a landscaper that is using your system and the problems that it solved for him or her.
Yeah, so we don't typically share exact customers
Yeah,
just because
you don't have
those
to call it ABC Landscaping. I don't care. That's fine. It doesn't matter.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, a lot of it just comes down to organization. They have a central hub where they can load in all of their employees. All the employees know what's going on any given day. They can schedule out all of their projects. There's all kinds of automated customer messaging as well. That's a big thing just for the customer end. We get a lot of feedback about just how much they enjoy the communication, leading up to the project and of course all throughout the project. And then, built into it too is payment processing. I know that there's a lot of companies out there that get stuck in sort of the, let's just handwrite the invoices. Let's, just wait for a check to be mailed. And if you do want checks, like that's totally fine. You can still record checks within your Able. But you do have the opportunity to be able to actually send out payable invoices, allow customers to pay in installments if that's, what they're more comfortable with. We even do have actually some financing options built directly into the payment platform. The two platforms that are built into that are called Afterpay or Affirm. They cover like different levels on pricing. But that's a really nice way, especially for larger projects, to turn more of those no's into yeses, because then, they can split up that payment into various installments that's managed by Afterpay or Affirm that
Well,
doesn't land on the company's
the
shoulders.
landscaping company or work, how many employees do they have?
In this example, landscaping company,
Yes, ABC Landscaping, your sample
ABC
company,
Landscaping, let's say they have 10 employees.
10 employees. Okay.
Sure.
So it works for a landscaping tenant with 10 employees. And
Mhm.
so it helps me, measure their projects. What does it cost for a company like that to have your software?
Yeah, so we offer three different plans. All of this is available over on our website as well. If anybody wants to check that out, it's just urable.com. That's urable.com. We have a pricing page there, but we have three different plans. The Express plan for $50 a month, the Pro plan for $100 a month, or the Enterprise plan for $200 a month. That is just a flat fee. We don't charge anything per user. I know that's a big thing, especially in the lawn care industry. A lot of those platforms charge per user. And so then what they're advertising on their website ends up being the very
I
minimum
mean,
that
I know a lot of companies that are paying more than that per user. I mean, they're paying 150
exactly.
bucks per user, let alone everybody. So what you're
Yeah.
saying is that maybe for a company, they can get all this done for 150 bucks a month, and that's all in, all the users, everything?
Exactly. Yeah. So we want this to be an approachable platform. There's a lot of people that are, venturing away from, doing the traditional like, college into like super white collar job and getting more into I'm going to start my business right now and I'm going to start making money right now.
Mhm.
And so we especially want it to be something that's approachable for people that are just starting out. That's why we have, those lower plans like the Express plan as like sort of a way in to get started. And then, obviously, as time goes on, ramping up to something like the enterprise plan, it
Well, I
really
mean,
comes down to,
that 150 bucks a month is nothing. I mean, I look at a
yeah,
lot of the software that I know in this industry runs, 100 to 200 per person. So
yeah,
if you have, 10 employees, that's like a lot, right?
yeah, absolutely. And
Like
and that's
thousands of dollars a month, right? For
exactly.
software.
Yeah. And
And
and that was why we made that decision early on. Because obviously everything that you see in any software system, it was a decision. That was something that company talked about and made a decision on it. And we were very intentional with not charging per user, because we were seeing that was really just contributing to the problem that a lot of these businesses are facing. They're getting penalized for growing. And we really want it to be something where that's not part of the equation for them. We want them to grow. We want them to find success. We are literally in the business of making sure that the businesses that are using Urable are successful.
now,
And
now, what about customer? You're a small company, so I imagine your customer service is good, right?
that is something that we really pride ourselves on. Because again, in just the software space, it is so difficult to get a hold of someone when you're experiencing issues with whatever it is that you're using, or if you just have questions. Hey, I don't know how to do this, or I don't remember where this is at. And so this was another very intentional decision. Some days we hate the decision, other days we love it. But we do have a live chat built right into the app. And actually, that's another thing. Urable is actually primarily a mobile app. You can download it off of the App Store or the Google Play Store. So especially when you're out in the field, you need to still be able to have access to everything for your business. You're not always going to be sitting in an office, always have access to a computer. And so the unique thing about Urable is actually we built it specifically for mobile. The browser was actually sort of secondary to that. So there's actually more functionality on the mobile version of Urable than there even is on the browser. Because you'll see that a lot too, where you download the app and it's just a very
Well, people
stripped
pay,
down.
a million to get the software developed, and they work it on a browser. They've got people wherever, in India or someplace designing the software, and then they end up. It's hard because it's all designed for a browser, and they try to
Exactly.
convert it to a mobile phone. It wasn't its original idea, and it's always difficult.
Exactly. Yep. And then it ends up just being this very stripped down version of it. You can do, a couple of the actions that you might need. But we really pride ourselves on this is truly a mobile app. You can take this out in the field and you have your entire business in the palm of your hand. Um,
So I would think people are a small business, I mean, especially even contractors, one or two, three guys or whatever. They haven't got a lot of people. This might be an alternative. I mean, you've got a bunch of you could use, QuickBooks and Xero. There's a bunch of software, software stack you could use. But it seems like me, this would integrate a lot of those and be a lot less expensive for a smaller business.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's, really what we cater to is especially the small businesses. I mean, obviously, we've developed functionality around the bigger businesses as well. Just as we've, gotten them on board. We want to make
Right.
sure that everybody's happy. And that comes back to what I was talking about earlier with just the flexibility of the platform. We offer a lot of features, but it's really up to each individual business to determine, what are the nice to have
Now,
features.
when people call you, will you help design or design with, customize that better? What features they should and shouldn't use for a small business? So I assume you meet with the owner of the business and say, okay, we're a small landscaping company, maybe a small remodeling company. This is what we do. We can't afford all this really expensive software, but we certainly can afford, that kind of price. And you help them figure out what features to use and what features not to use.
Exactly. Yeah. And we do offer a 30-day free trial. It is a genuine free trial. This is another thing that a lot of software companies do is they get you to put your card on file right up front and then they auto charge you at the end of the free trial. They kind of like lock you in.
Mhm.
We're not about that. We want it to be a genuine experience to check it out, see if it's going to be a good fit. If it's not, no worries. If it is, wonderful. And during that period, you're actually using it as if you're on our top plan, the enterprise plan. We want you to
Mhm.
be exposed to all the different features so then you can make an educated decision by the end of that free trial on, which plan is going to be best for you. And quite honestly, a lot of people will set up calls with us because that's another thing coming back to the customer service. We do have the live chat, but that is just one of the things that we offer for customer service. Another huge thing is we have a team of people that literally all day they're just on video calls. We're doing demos, we're doing Q&As, we're doing optimization calls. You name it, you can book whatever kind of Q&A or video call you want. And a lot of those end up being booked right towards the end of their free trial so they can say, hey, here's my situation, here's the features that I've been using, what plan should I choose based on that, or here's my budget and what features do I get in that plan. And so there's
Right.
a lot of those kinds of conversations that go on. And honestly, we want it to be flexible. Especially during the first couple of months, people tend to bounce around to different plans to kind of find their sweet spot and what they're comfortable with. And so we also prorate everything. So you're really only going to be charged for what you're using. We want it to be fair. Again, coming
So
back.
the question, so if someone wants to call you, they can actually go on the website, they can schedule an appointment with you, right, Kris?
Yeah,
And then you'll talk to them about what it can do, what it can't do. Because software, sort of people don't know what they don't know. And,
exactly.
to talk to somebody, say, this is how we could use our software in your company, what it could do, and that kind of thing. Should they go to your website and have that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Right next to the start free trial button is a book a demo button. So that gets you on, either my schedule or one of my colleagues' schedules for just a, 30-minute video call. Quite honestly, I'm really guilty of continuing if the person is interested. And I tend to be on a lot of hour-long calls if people have more questions
Yeah.
and want to keep talking. But yeah, those can be booked at any
Okay,
time.
cool. Well, it's not now, if you're a small company and you don't want to pay for big company software, it seems to me this is a real good way for a small company to organize. I don't care if you're a landscaper or any kind of services. I think it still works. The principles are the same. So I'd
Yeah,
give Kris a call and then you could decide how it can help your company.
absolutely.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it, Kris.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Thanks for having me.